it's Molly. I just wanted to go over how my festival went. So there will be no painting in this picture. So my feelings aren't hurt if you don't want to hear about it, but I wanted to go over what the experience was like getting there, and then I wanted to go over exactly what the process is. Some viewers had asked me about that. So I have a little notebook here. So I wanted to start with the very beginning process. So you need to decide, do you want to do craft festivals or fine arts festivals? If you want to do a fine arts festival, and that's what I did at Artistry this year, there is a lot of competition to get in, and it is normally a juried festival, so that is something to keep in mind. I would recommend taking a look at your work. Do you do a lot of handmade jewelry? Are you doing, any kind of crafty type thing? Then maybe a craft festival is better for you. If you truly think that your art is sellable in a fine arts market, then by all means try for a fine arts festival. It's just a different buyer population. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other, but fine arts is what I tried. So look in your area, see what's around. For some of you, I don't know where you all live, but for some, there may not be a lot of festivals, fine arts festivals in your region. I am lucky enough that in Florida, there are a ton all the time. And a lot of them, even if they're not in my specific area, are right around, a couple hours away that you can drive it. Zapplication, and I'll put the link below, is what I use to apply for my festival. I call it my festival, but Artistry, the festival that I was in. And there are other application sites out there, but I love Zapplication because it shows all the festivals in a bunch of different states that are affiliated with Zapplication. So you can go on and literally look place by place and see the dates that they're happening, the deadlines for the application fee, the jury fee. You can see everything online. So you can also favorite whichever festivals that you like, that you want to do. So that's really interesting. And then you'll get emails about the upcoming shows or when deadlines are approaching, so that you can kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Oh yeah, I wanted to apply to that show. The deadline's coming up. For a lot of these shows, and even some craft shows, there is an application fee, and that is non-refundable even if you don't get into the show normally. You have to read all the fine print, and on Zapplication, it gives you a lot of that information. It gives you what setup is supposed to be like, what the requirements for your booth are. So there is normally a jury fee, and that jury fee is non-refundable. There is a booth fee. So the booth fee is what you pay once you get into the show, and can range from a free booth to, upwards of a couple $1,000s for a booth. It really depends on the show. A lot of shows average around $400 to $500 for a booth. So that's something to be thinking. You need to be recouping that money to even break even. There's always a break even point. So all the supplies that I'll go over that I bought, the money that I spent on the booth, all of that, I had a specific goal in mind that I wouldn't make any money, but I wouldn't lose any money for my break even. Check for any hidden fees when you're reading through. Are they charging you for parking for the day? You have to think about your hotel if you're going to stay somewhere out of town. All of those things you have to account for to figure out what your break even point is. A lot of times they'll require that you have a few pictures to go along with. Those pictures, for this one, it was 4 pictures. One of them had to be a booth shot. Now, I applied to the Emerging Artist Program, which means that's the first time doing a show, and that means that I did not have to have a booth shot, so I just submitted 4 pictures. You want to make sure those pictures are your best pictures, the best lighting. You don't have to professionally take them, but I would Google and go online and look and see what's the best lighting to take my picture. Do you need a backdrop? You know, a lot of people recommend going outside for natural lighting on kind of an overcast or cloudy day. Make sure that you're not getting any glare or sun on your pictures. But your pictures are what they're judging you on. They don't know who you are. You are not supposed to have your name in these pictures. They are solely judging off of your work to see how good it is. So the pictures are very, very important. Your booth shot. I did not have to have one, but I have one now since I've done a festival. You want to make sure that it's clean, that it is set up exactly the way you want it at the time you take the picture. You want to make sure that there's nothing kind of on the ground and that there's good lighting as well. And you want them to be able to see the sides of your booth as well. So I would go to the show website. A lot of times they will have on the website other booths that have been there or what they're looking for in a booth shot. So you've got to do a lot of research before you even think about applying to the show to see if it's something that you can do. So I'm going to move on to booth setup. Booth setup requires a couple different things. You're bringing your art, right? But you also need a tent, and there could be requirements for each show on what that tent should look like. So there are dome lighting tents, there are regular white tents, some of them could have a specific color they want you to have, so you have to read up on that as well. You do not have to own your tent. You can rent a tent, and whatever area you live in, I would recommend kind of looking up and seeing what the pricing is for that. Some tents are like $75 to $100 for the weekend to rent. Some of them are upwards of a few $100s to rent. You also have to think, do you want them to come and set it up for you, or can you set it up yourself? I am probably on my next show going to have someone set the tent up for me. I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 more shows where I rent the equipment for the weekend to see if I really get as good of a result as I did this time. And if so, then I think I'll have, you know, my bankroll together where I will purchase those things and keep those things. With that said, if you do purchase them yourself, you have to have a way to get them there. So transportation is another issue. So the Tent Guys are a company that's here out of West Palm and the surrounding areas in Florida, and they rent the tent and set it up for you. There are actually companies out there that will help you with your booth shot as well, so you can go to them in a tent and they have like a mock tent set up, and you can take pictures, set your artwork up, and then take pictures of the booth so that you do have a booth shot if you need one, if you haven't had one before. Plan your booth out ahead of time. If you have to tape it off on the floor and, you know, flip the walls out so that you don't have a 3-dimensional shape anymore, but you've got a 2-dimensional flat shape, figure it out ahead of time, because the day of is so stressful as it is, or at least it was for me being a first timer, that you really want to focus on selecting the right pieces and hanging the right pieces. You don't necessarily want to be thinking, will this all fit? That was one thing that I brought almost all my pieces, and then I ended up having a bunch of pieces stored in my car. And while I would recommend bringing, you know, multiple pieces so that you can kind of get a feel for what you like, if you do that ahead of time, then it makes setup much easier. You have to decide, do you want pro panels, which are the carpeted panels, or do I want mesh, or do I want wire? And that will depend on the show as well. Sometimes the show will tell you you have to use carpeted panels, and that kind of decides it for you. But the name of those panels are pro panels. And there are some other variations, but you can rent those as well. You don't have to purchase them. If you do want to purchase them, and this goes for the tent as well, I would look on your Facebook Marketplace, look on your, you know, your sites that people give stuff away for free or that they're selling it at a discount. Go to the Restore, garage sales, whatever you want. You don't have to spend full price for these things. If you can, that's great, but if you can't, I would start looking now if you're thinking about doing a festival, and trying to get some of those things together. Some of the browse bins, which are bins that people can look through your artwork if you have like prints or things like that, matted pieces. Those you can also look for. You don't have to purchase those. Some people just give this stuff away for free. So just make sure you're doing, your due diligence and looking if you really want to do this, but you're thinking maybe I don't have enough money at the time to do it. Display vertically for your booth. So people don't want your pictures laying flat on a table. They want to be able, as they walk by, to see it, and you want to be able to tell a story, to draw their eye up some. So, hanging things on the side, you don't want to hang them too low to the ground either, but, have some variation and make their eye move across your booth, across your tent. This is my personal opinion. I talked about the browse bins. A lot of people, so I had in my browse bins this time around, because I didn't think about it ahead of time because I didn't know. I bought these clear browse bins, but they were plastic, and a lot of the shows do not allow that. So that's something to also think about. A lot of shows require that you have the pro panel carpeted browse bins, or that you have the black artist browse bins that come into a V. Think about if you want signage, if you're going to go to Vistaprint or to your local copy shop and make a sign. I handmade my sign this time, but some of the festivals will not allow you to hand make a sign, so that's something else you have to think about. Whether you're going to hang your art from the back without hangers, or if you're going to put hangers and choose the way the artwork is shown. So I had decided I'm not going to put hangers on all of my pictures. I'm going to just hang them like I do at my house. Like I hang them at my house, with a nail in the wall, and it hangs on the wood because the wood is so thick. That did not work because the pro panel, when you hang the wire hanger in it, would bend down and would not allow for the sturdy kind of setup that it needed to hang. So I ended up having to wire everything on site. So that's definitely something to think about. What type of wiring you want to use is something else to think about. Do you want the little eye hooks that you wire them through that stick on the inside? Do you want the brackets? Do you want the D-rings? I used D-rings this time around. They were easy to install. And easy for the client to take out if they wanted to change the hanging. For some of the smaller pieces, I did leave them on wood, but I brought extra D-ring hooks and hanging sets for them if they wanted it. So I would show them the back, let them know I have not wired this one, but I have the supplies if you would like for free. I can give you a little baggie, and I bought just little bags on Amazon. And I bought my D-rings on Amazon as well. They're much cheaper than buying them in the store. Amazon has like a 50 pack of D-rings for like $6 or $7 versus going to Walmart, it was 8 D-rings for $4, something like that. So you got to think about the way that you want to hang, wire your art. People have asked me how I do the backs. I leave my backs plain the way that they are. I don't know if that's going to change as I evolve, but I feel like the back tells a story, so I can kind of go either way, but right now I've been going with leaving the backs the way that they are. And I do sign the back of my artwork. I don't sign the front. So the day of. Okay, so you've already planned ahead. You've already figured out what your booth looks like. You got to think about transportation. Is your car or truck big enough to take everything? You have to think about how you're going to transport it because you need protective surfaces. A really cool idea, one of the emerging artists, Dino, he made bags out of bubble wrap and slid the artwork into the bubble wrap. And I'm probably going to do that next time and put a little bit of paper so that each canvas was individually wrapped. And as they were individually wrapped, you could slide it back in there when the person purchased it. I spent a lot of time wrapping my artwork and putting the corners on when people were waiting to make a sale behind them. So that's something else to think about. Wrapping the corners, so you gotta buy something to wrap it with if you haven't done it already. So bubble wrap, you can get it, you know, at Walmart. You can order the bags and the stuff from Uline if you want. So you gotta think about how is the person gonna take it home without damaging it. I bought also off Amazon some corners, and they were adjustable corners so that I could make them for a 1.5 inch thick canvas or for a 3/4 inch canvas. So they were adjustable. And people really were appreciative that I had the correct packing supplies to take it. We talked about the hangers. The hangers that I'm talking about are upholstery hangers. They have a sharp edge on one side, and then they go straight up, and then they have a hook. And that hook is what the art sits on. And the sharp edge allows you to go through the pro panel into the foam board in the back and then hook in. I bought mine, you can get them from Joann's Fabrics. I bought mine from Walmart. They have large sizes, small sizes, so you can get anything you need. Display signs, and I don't mean your regular sign. I mean, are you gonna allow photography in your booth? I made a sign and put it in a frame that said no photography, please. I had a sign that said how much sales tax was going to be there, and I'll talk about the sales tax in just a little bit. Plan for booth setup to take a long time. You don't get there if you have to load in by 5 p.m. Don't get there at 4 and think, oh, I've already planned it out, I'm good to go. Things happen. Plan ahead. I thought can't take more than 2 or 3 hours. Took me from like 9:30 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And granted, I had to wire my stuff, but just think about that ahead of time. Give yourself plenty of time. You don't want to be stressed out. You want this to be enjoyable for you. Okay. Extra things to bring, things to think about. So you want to label your artwork. Some people don't like labeling. They want to start the conversation with the client. I personally like the fact that they could see how much my artwork was. A lot of people, if there's no label, they'll just walk right on past. So you want to bring labels. You want Velcro, if you're using pro panels, to put on the back of the label so that you can stick it to the carpet. If you're using mesh or something else, you got to figure out how am I going to attach my label, my pricing label to it. On my label, I had artist and my name, the name of the piece, the size of the piece, and the price. And I just used my Microsoft Publisher and printed them out on nice cardstock paper with the design. So you want to bring Velcro, tape, scissors, labels, sunscreen. You don't think about that one. Bug spray, maybe if you need it, if it's outside. You want to bring water and snacks, because even if you have a helper, you want to be in your booth most of the day, and you forget if you're busy to drink water. You got to stay hydrated. It was in the 80s during this festival. It was hot outside. So water, because otherwise you'll feel yourself like getting dizzy and lightheaded, and you need to be there to be talking to your clients, potential clients, right? Bring help if you can. If you're allowed to have an artist assistant, see if somebody will come with you so that you can go to the bathroom. Some of the festivals have helpers, volunteers that will sit with your artwork, but they can't sell it for you. So if somebody wants to make a purchase, you've lost that purchase if you've had to go to the bathroom. Your art assistant can sell your artwork for you, and should be selling your artwork for you if you're with another client. So think about that. Think about bringing help. Bring a backup charger. So I'll get into a little bit later for what I use to pay, but you're using your phone and your iPad most of the time. Those things may die depending on how much usage you do. So make sure you bring backup batteries, little external charger packs. Bring business cards. And then when you think you have enough business cards, bring more business cards, because you don't. As many people go through this festival, if they're not purchasing, I'm giving them my card so that it's in their mind for later. And if it's a waste, it's a waste, and it doesn't cost that much money. But if they keep your card, they may come back to your business website. They may come back to, to purchase a piece or ask you about a commission. So those are all things to think about. I also brought a book for emails and commissions. So emails for classes, because a lot of people, I started my conversation, have you guys ever heard about fluid art before? And then when they said yes or no, the people that said yes, I didn't go into as much detail on the process, but what I did was ask them, you know, if you would like to create pieces like this, if you'd like, you can sign up to my email, and when my classes start up or when I have an opening, I can send you an email. So then you can start your email chain so that you can send out emails for when you post new things to your shop, whether it's your Etsy shop or your website. You can send them emails when you're going to a new show and where you'll be. So those are all things to think about. Bring pens, a receipt book for people that pay cash if they want a written receipt. Those are all the things I can think of now. I'm sure if you guys have any questions, you can always ask me. If you guys have any questions at all, please put them below. I'll try my best to answer them. Like I said, I'm a newbie too to this, so I can just talk about my experience so far. And I always forget to say, but if you like my channel, if you like my art, please subscribe below. You're more than welcome to share. I have all my links down below. You can follow me on Instagram. You can like my page on Facebook. I try to respond to everybody. If you want to support me and my art, I have my PayPal link below. So enough about that. So pricing is the next thing I wanted to talk about, just very briefly. You have to figure out what it costs you to make a painting, and that should have been kind of in your earlier process, especially if you're already selling your paintings. Think about the canvas, the paint, all of the other supplies like the stir sticks, the cups, the plastic, the gloves. Think about your time that goes into it, all the varnish that you put on it if you put varnish. So all of those things get boiled down from batches into your total cost for a painting. And then I would recommend not overcharging or undercharging. So you got to value your work appropriately, and that may take a couple of festivals to figure out. You know, were people buying at this price point? What were people valuing my art? Were people just saying okay, and maybe my price was a little bit too low? You know, I like affordable art, and you're going to reach a population of people. You may have those few people that you could have sold it for $1,200 instead of $700. I had that, you know, pop up into my head a couple of times, but in the end, they bought your piece. So that's something that kind of comes as you go. Think about tax. So whatever state you're in, you have to find out what tax you have to charge, or if you have to charge a sales tax for merchandise. And that needs to be reported either every 3 months, depending on your, this is depending on your state, but you have to find out through your local tax committee, or tax office, what's my sales tax price and how often do I need to report it. If you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, then they normally group it together and do it quarterly. If you're just doing one festival, like this festival I was just in, you got to report it by 30 days, and you have to literally write them a check and pay them for all the sales tax that you collected. And for Florida, that's on cash and on credit card. Okay, so you got to keep a log of what's going on. For pricing, I would recommend having smaller pieces, like $20, $30 pieces, and having much larger pieces. A lot of the pieces that sold for me were in the medium to large range, actually, and then a ton of my coasters sold. So people were buying and my small pieces that I had separately, somebody came and bought them all at once. So it all depends. But a lot of the smaller pieces that I thought I would sell, I didn't sell, because for this show, people were looking for larger pieces to go maybe over their couch, or pieces to go, you know, over a boudoir or a bed of some kind. So they were looking for very large pieces for mine. So bring kind of a range so that you can hit all the different people that are there. I had magnets, and I was selling, you know, magnets that I made as well for 2 for $5 or 5 for $5, depending on the size. So that's also something to think about. So I had price points of $5, $30, upwards of, you know, $800 to $1,000, and people bought in all those ranges. I used a square to ring my clients out. I liked using the square for a couple of different reasons. I put all of my inventory in ahead of time, and that's something that you can prep as well. So I took a picture of each painting, had a price by it, designated a category. Square keeps up with all of that for you. So at the end of the day, you can look back and see exactly what you sold, exactly how much it was. It keeps up with the tax that you charge. There's a setting in Square where you can charge sales tax. And it keeps up with your inventory. Say you have 6 paintings that are very similar, and you can put in that you have 6 of them, and every time you sell one, it'll roll that inventory for you. They do charge 2.75% on everything that so $100, you're paying them $2.75. And if you're and that's if you're swiping. If you are entering it in manually on your phone, that's why I recommend getting the reader, then they charge you 3.75%. Figure out when you order a Square, you need to figure out, am I going to get the one for my phone or for an iPad? I have an Android phone. I wanted to use my iPad. What ended up happening at the festival is there was no Wi-Fi there, so that's something else you got to figure out. I ended up having to use my phone's data to make a hotspot to connect my iPad to that. So that's something else you have to think about. I'm using my phone data for my iPad, so I had to call and update and get more data as well, because that's running through your internet. So those are all things to think about. Looking back, could I probably have just gotten a reader for my phone? Yeah, and I may additionally get one so that I could use my phone or my iPad, depending on if the show has Wi-Fi. I like the bigger iPad screen so that they could see it and sign. The good thing about using a Square as well is if you have an assistant, they don't have to ask how much it is. They can literally find the picture, click on it, and it prices it for them and adds the sales tax in for them. So it makes it much easier. Just some other, now those were all kind of the little tidbits of info that I had for you about my experience. Network and make friends while you're there. There are some of the best artists around the country at some of these fine arts festivals. People came from everywhere for this. Make friends, give your cards out, talk to people, see what their process is. Look at the art. It's amazing. I can't even begin to describe how inspired and how humbled I was at how good some of this art was. It was amazing, truly amazing. So for my experience, like I said, a lot of larger pieces sold. I came home with what I thought are some of my best pieces. So what I'm saying is what I thought would sell did not sell. And what I did not quite think would sell sold immediately. So you really never know. And you really have to give a good variety for people. I would suggest bringing a few extra pieces, because as those pieces sell, you may want to hang a piece back up. The other thought to that is if you leave it blank, in somebody's mind, they thought, oh, they sold something, their work must be good. So again, that's something that you can decide. So you never know what sells. That's a big thing. So take a bunch of pieces, different pieces. Sell yourself. You are an artist. People need to know that. They need to hear about your process, hear about your story. They could buy art from anywhere. A lot of times they're buying you. They're buying what you made, the time that you devoted to this, what your process was. So I spent all day talking to people. Anyone that walked by my booth, I said hello to. I smiled to. I tried to pull them into the booth. It's really, you gotta market and sell yourself. The art, sometimes art will sell itself, but when people are walking by and there's 300 vendors that are just as good, and in my case, maybe even better than me, you gotta sell yourself. So pulling people in, starting that conversation, I probably had 5, maybe even 6 or 7 of my sales that came from me getting somebody into the tent to begin with that would have probably walked on by otherwise. Like I said, talk about the process. People want to know how you made your art. What inspired you? What made you create the name? It's all a conversation that makes them have a connection with you, and in turn a connection with your art. I talked about size, color variation. That's something for me. I sold out of my blue and gray coasters immediately. Those were the colors that people had in their house. I still have my yellow and my red coasters. So you just got to think about those things. A lot of blue stuff sold for me. A lot of kind of funky colored purple orange stuff sold for me. My larger blue and gold pieces sold. So it's just something to think about. I did get a few possible commissions, but I wanted to go to, these were local, so I wanted to go to their home, talk about it. One thing I forgot is have an artist bio, something that is relatable to you. So that was another sign that I had that had a picture of me and that talked about where I was from originally, what inspires my art, what are my favorite types of art to do if you're a mixed media type person. So those are all things to think about and document, because people would literally walk by and read each sign of each artist and see what was going on with them. My last thing that I'll leave you with is have fun. This is gonna be, I hope, a great experience for you, whether you sell a lot of pieces or not. I was very successful, in my opinion, in my first festival, and I walked out ahead, and I'm so humbled and appreciative of that, that I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm definitely gonna try to do it again. Whether I get into the show or not, I don't know, but I'm gonna continue down this path because it's what's fun to me, it's what I love, and I love the friendships that I made, the networking that happened. I love the art community. So enjoy the process of doing this. Learn from it. Help others if you can. Bonnie Keene is a fluid artist, a phenomenal fluid artist that was at this festival, and she was basically my mentor. She helped me so much get this together, and you know, I was having self-doubt and texting her and calling her, and she's telling me, don't forget this, and remember to get this, and make sure you have this. So find somebody to mentor you. Network, get yourself out there. And the biggest thing is you gotta try. You can't be afraid of failure. And so that's what I would say to you, is just try. Try it out. What do you have to lose? It's like with paintings. It's just paint. If you can afford it, I would try it. So I hope you guys found this informational and educational, and thank you guys for watching. So happy painting.